It was 6:45 a.m. when a splash louder than any alarm clock ripped me out of sleep, dragging me to the window of my new Oak Lane home. There, in my backyard pool, were two little heads bobbing like Cork Sophie and Jake, my neighbor's kids, giggling as if my pool was their personal water park. I'm Alex Thompson, a coder who sank every penny and late-night hustle into this house, dreaming of a private oasis to escape the grind of startup life. That pool was my reward, built with my own hands after months of 60-hour weeks, a sanctuary to wash away the stress of algorithms and deadlines. But Lisa Hartman, my new neighbor, saw it differently. To her, my backyard was community property, no invitation required. Welcome to my channel MidnightTales, where I dive into the wildest stories of suburban life. Stick around, because this one's a doozy. I tried to play it cool at first. Picture me bleary-eyed, clutching a shaky coffee mug, watching Sophie's wild curls bounce as she splashed, and Jake, a 10-year-old ball of chaos, cannonballed like he was auditioning for the Olympics. Lisa would saunter over in her bathrobe, tossing out a half-hearted kid's, "Be nice," without ever pulling them out. I'd step onto my deck, heart thumping because confrontation's not my thing. I'm the guy who codes to avoid real-world drama and say, "Lisa, this is the third time this week. They can't just hop in without asking." She'd spin around, eyes flashing with that mix of annoyance and superiority, like I was the one being unreasonable. "Oh, come on, Alex," she'd say. "They're just kids letting off steam." Back in my day, neighbors shared everything. It's what builds community. Besides, you're at work all day, your pools, just sitting there, lonely. Lonely. That stung. Yeah, I'm single, grinding to afford this place after a rough divorce. But that didn't make my yard her family's free. It wasn't just the trespassing that got under my skin. It was the entitlement, the way Lisa made me feel like the bad guy for wanting boundaries. My pool wasn't just a luxury, it was a symbol of everything I'd worked for, a slice of peace I'd earned. But to her, it was a public splash pad, and my complaints were selfish. I held back for weeks, trying to be the bigger person. I documented everything on my phone, timestamps, videos of candy wrappers floating in the water, muddy footprints on my deck, even a cracked planter from Jake's reckless stomping. I thought maybe if I talked nicer, she'd get the hint. But then one morning, after finding their inflatable toys scattered like they'd thrown a full-blown pool party while I was at work, something snapped. I marched out, fists clenched but voice steady, and said, "Lisa, get them out now. This is trespassing, and if one of them slips, my insurance will lose it." Her face paled for a second, then flushed red. "Are you threatening my children? You've been filming them." "That's creepy, Alex." The kids froze in the water, wide-eyed as she yanked them out through a gap in my fence, a gap they'd clearly widened themselves. As they left, I heard Jake whisper, "Mom, why is he so mad?" Her reply cut like a knife, because some people hoard their stuff and forget neighborly kindness. Property doesn't make you king. That hit hard. I'd never complained about their late-night barbecues or their yapping dog, but now I was the villain. Staring at the mess they'd left, floaties, wrappers, a muddy deck, I realized patience wasn't working. It was time to take a stand, not with words, but with action that had forced Lisa to respect boundaries. So I called Jenkins Construction, named after old Mrs. Jenkins down the street, who'd later become my unexpected A-land. Got a quote to tear out the entire pool. Yeah, it was extreme, but I was done. The next morning at 7 a.m. sharp, the excavator rolled in, shaking the block like an earthquake. Lisa stormed over, hair a mess, eyes wild like she hadn't slept. "You're destroying a perfectly good pool just to spite my kids. That's insane, Alex." I sipped my coffee.com on the outside but buzzing inside. "It's my yard, Lisa, just making improvements." The machine roared, drowning her out as it drained the water inch by inch. A crowd gathered. Tom Riley from across the street, grabbing his paper and staying for the show. Mrs. Jenkins with her walker, shaking her head at the drama. Lisa paced the fence, ranting to anyone who'd listen. "This is what happens when you try to share." He thinks offense means he owns the joy in this neighborhood. But as the pool emptied, we found their stuff: Sophie's pink floaty, Jake's goggles, proof they'd treated my yard like their second home. Lisa went pale but doubled down, calling City Hall, code enforcement, even the HOA, claiming my project violated neighborhood aesthetics. Every complaint was shot down, her voice cracking with each rejection. By noon, half the pool was rubble, and she tried one last desperate plea, kids in tow with their sad eyes. "Alex, please. Jake's birthday party is Saturday. Friends were coming to swim. What if I pay you like $50 a month and watch them every time?" For a split second, I wavered, remembering my own childhood splashing with friends. But then the months of disrespect flooded back, her treating my hard-earned space like a freebie, her HOA power trips where she'd bully neighbors over lawn heights. "No, Lisa," I said. "You didn't ask. You took and taught your kids. It's okay. That's on you." Her mask cracked. "You heartless jerk. Those are innocent children." She stormed off, vowing, "This isn't over," with a smile that chilled me, like she was plotting something darker, maybe tied to her grudge from when I'd voted against her HOA proposal last year. That's when the real war kicked off. Subtle at first, but escalating fast. The next day, a bogus city ticket appeared on my door for construction before hours, even though we started at 7 a.m. on the dot. Then my mail started vanishing, deliveries redirected to Lisa's house. She even called the post office, claiming I'd moved, but she didn't stop there. Child Services showed up, a suit named Sandra citing reports of me aggressively confronting kids and creating hazards. My blood ran cold. Me, who'd never raised my voice to Sophie or Jake, just asked them to leave. I showed Sandra the footage, the barriers around the construction site, and she saw through it. This seems unfounded, Mr. Thompson. Someone's wasting resources. Across the street, Lisa's curtains twitched. Then cops arrived on a threats. 2 children. Tip Officer Ramirez reviewed my videos and shook her head. This is harassment, plain and simple. I documented everything. Emails to my lawyer, Sarah Clean. Screenshots. Timestamps feeling the shift from victim to empowered, but also this gnawing worry. How far would Lisa's obsession go? She seemed driven by this belief that shared resources justified anything, even lying to authorities. It all peaked that Friday when the concrete truck rolled in to seal the pool's hole for good. I'd planned a Zen garden, something peaceful after the chaos. Lisa lost it completely. Her door slammed, and she climbed my fence in pajamas, bare feet slipping as she dropped into my yard. Stop this now. It's community destruction. She grabbed my shovel, flinging wet concrete everywhere, then swung at my patio table, glass shattering like her sanity. Your property affects everyone's kids, their mental health, their joy. I recorded it all, heart racing but voice steady. Lisa, you're trespassing and vandalizing. Leave now. Neighbors poured out, Tom yelling, "What the hell?" Lisa, Mrs. Jenkins gasping from her porch. Lisa ranted, "Property is theft." Then dialed 911, screaming, "Emergency. He's violent, destroying everything, threatening kids." But we all had phones out, me, Tom. Even the contractor, capturing her meltdown from every angle. Her kids watched, horrified. From their window, sirens wailed, and Officer Ramirez arrived, face stern. "Mrs. Hartman, you're under arrest. Trespass, destruction, false report." Lisa's eyes widened. But I'm the victim. I showed the evidence, the pattern of lies from CPS 2 cops. Her husband, Mike, muttered, "Jesus." Lisa, writing a check for damages. Admitting her control issues had spiraled, rooted in her fear of losing face in the neighborhood she'd tried to dominate. Lisa got 18 months probation and counseling. After pleading guilty, the judge calling it a dangerous abuse of trust, Mike and the kids moved out, but before they left, a crayon card from Sophie and Jake arrived. "Sorry, Mr. Alex. Thanks for being kind." It tugged at me. They were just kids, caught in her mess. My yard's now a serene rock garden, more me than that pool ever was. Justice felt sweet, but it left me wondering, was I too harsh? Or did her entitlement force my hand? On we explore these gray areas of suburbia. Where do boundaries end and community begin? Drop a comment below. Was I right to stand firm? Or could I have shared more? Share your own neighbor horror stories, and let's unpack what justice looks like in these tight-knit streets. Subscribe to MidnightTales for more real-life dramas, and I'll see you in the next one.